And we're live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tiki Taka Podcast, episode number 85. I'm your host, Peter. Today, joined by Cynthia,
Hi.
Bruno,
What's going on, everyone?
and filling in for Steph, we got Patrick.
Hello.
All right. So, we're going to try and get this show done as fast as possible because Cynthia has to go in under 1 hour. So, we'll see how things go. Anyway, so let's start with the first game of today's episode, and we're going to start with Portimonense Benfica. So, Benfica obviously won this game 3-1. I'll give you guys the lineup real quick. So, Bruno Varela in gold, André Almeida, Ruben Dias, Jardel, and Grimaldo across the back. Pizzi, Feza, and Zivko in the midfield, with Servi, Jonas, and Rafa up front. So, Cynthia, I'll let you go first on this one. What do you think about this game?
I'm so sorry. Can you say that one more time?
I asked what you thought about the game. You know, the Benfica
The
game.
Benfica game.
Yes, the Benfica game.
Sorry, I know. I was just ending up listening to Klopp again. Sorry. Our game went well. I don't know why, but I thought I was nervous for a little bit. And then after a little bit, the nerves went away.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. Why was I nervous, buddy?
I don't know. You tell me.
You were thinking of what I was saying.
Probably, yeah. To be honest, I was thinking about what you were saying today too there, Bruno. But I'll let you get to that later. I know. Varela was in net,
That'll
right?
be good. Yeah, obviously.
You said Varela was in net, exactly. So you got to go first. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I'll be right back.
You are 100%. Do you want me to go?
I'm so sorry. Yes, you go first.
Okay. So I thought this game was totally different than what Bruno was, penning it out to be. Like most people, I thought Benfica started really well with very high pressure, and that obviously set the tone for the game. We ended up scoring one goal, but we could have scored more in the first half. We could have had the game done by then because we were just the better side. Obviously by far. Obviously inside the final 10 minutes, Portimonense started to play a little bit better, but that happens to almost everyone. In the final 10 minutes, the team that has been dominating throughout most of the match ends up turning off a little bit, and obviously that allowed Portimonense to create a couple of chances, but still nothing major. And then in the second half, obviously, I was expecting Portimonense to be a little bit more attacking, a little bit more dangerous, which they were. They were mounting a few opportunities, and I wasn't surprised when they scored. But it was one of those games where I felt like we weren't going to lose because we were just playing really well up front, and having Rafa instead of Savio helps so much. So the team played really well. I thought Zivkovic was amazing, as well as Servi, who scored a brilliant goal. It was. I think this game was tough, but it wasn't one where I felt like it was going to get away. Even though obviously we had a few scares every now and then. I don't know if. I don't know if Cynthia's back yet. So Bruno, why don't you tell me what you thought about it, if you wanna?
First half, yes, Benfica was much better. They looked like they tried to resolve the game. They got a gift goal. The cut from the defender definitely went the wrong way. It basically was a very nice assist by the defender, and obviously it was a good finish. Benfica could have gotten a couple of goals on that. After that, they did not. So, Portimonense started to hang around a little bit, and it was it's been the typical Rui Vitoria Benfica. They score a goal and they kind of sit around and let the team get back into the game, the opponent. And once Portimonense scored the tying goal, Benfica was rattled. And then in the second half, if Fed Varela did not hit, or if he actually hit the ball on target, you would be having a completely different conversation. You would have not won that game.
Mm-hmm.
Portimonense had a couple of chances. There's the penalty that's not called in their favor.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're going to argue about that. It is arguable, but
No, I don't argue. I think it's a penalty, but I don't. But I just the offside before that, and whatever. Sorry, go on.
And then after that, then once Benfica scored the goal, Portimonense just basically didn't have enough in them, and then they got a third goal very late to make sure that they solidified the victory. A lot of debate also about the foul that originated the second goal. In my personal opinion, I think it is a foul. There's a lot of referees that think that it should not have been called a foul. I am not sure as to why, but it is what it is. I can honestly accept the fact that it was a foul. It was a good goal, and Portimonense they took a hard loss at home.
You know what? It's gonna be a difficult game for everybody else that goes in there because Benfica had a good first half. If they didn't have that good of a 35 minutes or so, it would have been a very different game. And Benfica also got lucky, but I mean, every team ends up getting lucky sometimes. Cynthia, you back yet?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that.
What did you think now? Can you tell us what you thought about the game?
So Servi had a good game, and Varela, Bruno just jogged my memory. The other Varela, I actually tweeted about it that luckily for us, he's about as good as our Varela. So he did miss that damn shot, because if he hadn't, we could be talking about a different outcome right now. Lucky for us, they did not have the game that Bruno thought they would have with at least making us drop points, right? So lucky for us, Servi was on point. The ending of the game, I thought it was ridiculous that the ref didn't call the whistle earlier. It seems like he did want Portimonense to score on us, because he waited. It was in their end, and then our guys got a counter and we scored, and then he blew the whistle. So
yeah, he gave like a whole extra minute for something that went on for like 20 seconds.
So he should also be at fault for that. Yeah, that's not on us, and I'm not going to accept that from any of the other rivals if they want to say, oh, you guys are crap. Listen, that fucker was trying to let the other guy score. We got a counter. Tomalayan, like, you shouldn't have done that. Should have whistled right away before the Portimonense looked like they were going to do it and tie it up. Well, they didn't. And so for that, I don't appreciate that. But I know, you guys are all over the refs are for us. They're giving us all this extra time. This was to try and get Portimonense to score. So for that, that's all I got to say. I'm happy Servi did well, because I want him to continue doing well. And hopefully we play better. I was still nervous. You know what I mean? Like, I know that Cynthia, I did not feel good about this game. Yeah, Bruno.
Cynthia, I have a question. You're saying that the referee was trying to help Portimonense tie the game, correct?
Yeah, man.
Well, if he was trying to help Portimonense tie the game, he would have called a penalty that should have been called.
Yeah, but again, there was another call before the penalty happened, right?
And which one was that?
Hold on. We'll get to that after. I want Patrick in on the game before we talk about the referees, because I know if we talk about the referees, you're going to spend a little bit of time.
Yeah, we never stop.
Patrick, did you watch this game?
Yeah, I watched it.
All right, so thoughts.
Well, it was a difficult test, to be honest. Coming away to Portimonense, I think they're one of the smaller sides that play the best football. So it was important that Benfica got a result here and start quickly, which they did. They pressed from the first minute. A lot of the time, it was actually, I thought like Zivkovic would be rotating around Jonas, but actually Pizzi was the one who pushed a lot further. Obviously, he's more aggressive in the press, a lot more tenacious than Zivkovic may be. And that worked wonders for Benfica, because they didn't let Portimonense couldn't string their passes together as they usually would. And soon after, it was Servi, wasn't it? Servi got the first goal.
Yeah.
And then coming into the second half, I forgot to say, I was a bit impressed, because there was that period, wasn't there, where Jonas gets injured, and obviously psychologically that's a blow. And it's 1-1, against a side that everyone coming into this game thought, right, this team's going to be difficult. And having covered so much ground in the first half, I was thinking, right, the tired minds might start to set in, and Benfica might really find it difficult to eventually get the winner. But Servi come up clutch with that free kick, posting in. And then Zivkovic, with a goal that he deserves, really. He's put in some solid performances of late, and he crowned off the win well for Benfica. I think it was a good performance by Benfica. Can't really throw anything at it.
All right. So before we talk about the referees, I just want to say, if only we have gotten our wish of Zivkovic, Servi, and Krovinovic in the midfield, that would have been insane. Anyway, Bruno, you want to start discussing with the the penalty play?
I mean, it is clear. I mean, it's been debated on all the TV shows. It is clear that it is a penalty. We saw Juiz Final on the debut of Juiz Final on Sport TV last night, and we had the Benfiquista Pedro Henriques saying that it was not a penalty, and then you get a completely unbiased referee from Brazil who has no affiliation.
Oh my God.
He's
to the Benfiquista, bro. He stole one of the most important goals in Benfica. Whatever. No, never mind.
This guy, this referee from Brazil, World Cup referee.
We know,
and he said that it was a clear penalty. Even Peter admits that's a clear penalty.
I think
there is no doubt about it. And they examined the play. People say it's an offside, but when you look very closely,
it is offside, Bruno.
When you look closely, there's a pass from the back from a Benfica player.
It's still offside. It's still offside. It's still considered offside.
No way.
It is. Dude, I fought that battle before. It is. I didn't think you I used to defend the opposite, that it wasn't offside, but people say it's offside. So I mean,
I heard the referee say it last night that it wasn't offside. I'm gonna listen to him more than I'm gonna listen to this other banana that was talking yesterday, the Pedro Henriques. And and we have to also talk about how Ruben Valtudo Diaz didn't get red carded. He didn't even get called a foul off, almost ripping Fabricio's head off. When I hear people talk about Felipe, and now you got a guy like Ruben Diaz that almost rips Fabricio's head off and doesn't get a red card, not even a foul. He didn't even call a foul.
I know, because the ball was
ridiculous to me.
Yeah, and
it's a red card.
Contact or whatever.
It's a red card anywhere in the world except in Benfica games.
Only in Benfica games. No, but seriously, does anybody know? And this is something that I don't know. In VAR, right? Can you chalk off a play by offside when you're talking about a penalty, right? Does anybody know that? Because
I believe they can.
Okay, because if they can, then they have to. In my opinion, they have to rule it offside, and if not, they have to call it a penalty because it's a penalty. Just like I think there's a penalty in the other box right after, but they have to call a penalty on Jardel. I think if they can't rule off the offside, then I think they have to call a penalty. But I would like to know more about that.
Remember, the rule has changed now with the offside. Remember the game again? I think it was in a Sporting game in which it was Sporting versus Braga. And there was a big debate about a guy being offside or not being offside everything like that.
Bruno, I remember this year. I think it was this year that Porto B got a goal that got ruled offside, which in my opinion wasn't offside because it was a back pass. But you can't even say that was a pass. That wasn't a pass. That was a deflection, and then the Portimonense player took advantage of the play. It wasn't like it was a pass. We're not talking about when Messi scored against Porto a couple of years ago. It was completely back pass to the goalkeeper and intercepted the ball. That wasn't it. That was a deflection. So
I'm gonna debate that. I'm gonna say that it is a pass. He could have tried to pass it to his defender. He got in front of I believe it was Nakajima. and he passed it back. People say it was a cut. People say it was a deflection. I mean, you're the first guy I actually heard say deflection, but I heard it was more of a cut than anything. But okay, I mean, you obviously have your opinion. I have mine. I'm gonna stick to mine, which was a pass back. If it's a pass back, there's no penalty. I mean, there's no offside, and then there's no offside. There
I
has to be a
agree with
penalty.
you there.
Now my question
That's
is
the
this:
rule.
where's the VAR? And I'm not going to stop at only where's the VAR. Where is the assistant VAR? So you have 4 eyeballs in the room, and not one guy can make a call.
What, they didn't
It's
call it off?
it,
They didn't call anything. They should have called offside, in my opinion. That would have settled everything. They just called play on.
no, but they should have reviewed it. That's my point, and my point is, it was not reviewed by two separate guys. It's just amazing to me, but
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
Yeah, can we move on now?
Yes.
All right. I don't. Nobody else wants to add in on this because they can if they want. I don't know if Patrick wants to say anything.
No,
Dale, Sportingista, dale nas orelhas, pá.
no, it's cool.
Okay, Cynthia.
No, you
Okay.
guys have done it enough.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So let's move on to the Chaves Porto game, which I'm pretty sure Bruno is going to be very happy to talk about it. Yeah. And I'm just going to refrain
Probably
from
not.
talking
I bet
about
you
it.
that they were owed like 7 penalties. And
No,
they didn't
actually,
get called.
Maxi had a penalty in 5 minutes in, but that wasn't called. Anyway, so I'll give you the Porto lineup since I think Bruno's probably driving. So anyway,
Yes.
Jessal was in goal. Maxi Pereira, Felipe, and Diego Reyes alongside Alex Telles across the back. Otávio, Herrera, Sérgio Oliveira, and Corona in the midfield with Marega and Suárez up front. And, Bruno, I didn't pay attention to the game after, Porto got the first goal, but it did look like at times Chaves looked good, but they never really managed to capitalize on their opportunities, did they?
I don't think they really had they had that one shot by
Matheus Pereira.
Mateus Pereira that Jessa made a big save. They had. Did they have any other opportunities after that? I mean, maybe they had some shots from the outside, but I mean, clear scoring chances, they had none. Where I'm saying shot in the box or something like that. They didn't have anything really going on. I mean, this is one of those games that it was a very difficult game that was turned very easy quickly. Now I have to state that Porto was missing 5 starters in this game, and the guys that came off the bench into the starting lineup answered the calling very, very well. They did an excellent job. I think Jessa played well in goal against Chaves. I thought the defense was pretty darn solid. The midfield was the key. Sergio Oliveira had another tremendous game. Herrera had a pretty darn good game. Corona played very well, amazingly. I was expecting to not see Corona another month. He bench into the starting lineup. It seems like the hashing out, the record worked out well. Could have had another one. We didn't even have to use Brahimi in this game. Marega played on the outside, and Otávio had an awesome game as well. I think countering, he was pretty darn good. He created a lot of imbalance in Chaves. I think at the end of the day, it was a justified win. When you win 4-0 away, there's really not much more to say.
Mm-hmm. All right, Patrick.
And I heard you.
What?
I'm sorry,
What?
and I heard your little comment. Just keep in mind that Maxi Pereira.
I got 2
If you
comments,
consider that a
but
foul,
there's 2 of them.
if you consider that a foul,
There's 2 of them. But
if you consider that a foul,
Fala.
there was a breakaway in which Marega was going to go to goal, which 2 guys from Chaves do the same thing, and the referee did not call a foul.
Then he should have called it a foul.
He did not call it a foul.
I'm just
Did
saying he
not.
should have called it. He should have called it then. I told you I didn't pay a lot of attention to the game after it, so I'm just saying, if that did happen, then he should have called it a foul. Anyway,
I don't think there was a foul, to be honest with you. That's just my opinion.
All right, so
I think those are soft penalties.
It's only a foul when it's Benfica. We know.
It's a foul. Come on, bro. But seriously,
No, it's a soft foul.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. I just want everybody to lay out their opinions because I really just want to talk about those plays. Because other than that, it was an easy win for Porto. Patrick, did you watch this Porto game?
Yeah, I watched a bit of it. I was flicking between that one and the Liverpool game. But from what I could see, it was similar to what Benfica did with Portimonense, where they started really well. And the only difference, obviously, was that Porto packed a couple more goals and sorted themselves out early. Sergio Oliveira had a good game through the middle. Tiquinho Suarez as well, another impressive display, which, as Bruno touched on this, it's come in good time because obviously Abubakar has a good share of the goals up top, and I think Suarez is more than capable when given the chance, and he showed that with that goal that he scored on the volley. A difficult game that Porto in the end made look very easy, which boded well for the midweek game that they had today. Obviously, that didn't go too well, but we'll probably get on that a bit later on. But all in all, a good display, and in the league, Porto looks strong. There's not much you can throw at them. I don't know, because obviously they don't have Danilo in the middle. And I think as far as the league is concerned, I don't think they miss Danilo that much. Obviously today was a huge miss, but that's something to keep note. Once he comes back, they look strong.
All right, Cynthia, do you want to weigh in on this?
No. It was terrible to watch. They didn't lose. I was very upset.
All right, so
your prediction once again went sour, huh?
I know. I was like, damn it!
Every week. I
was like, today's not my day, boys. Today's not my day. Well, today might be.
So we ran through the maxi play. Cynthia, did you see the play that I'm talking about, or? I
did. But again, like Bruno said, the ref didn't call that one, but then there were a couple he didn't call for the other guys too. I did just want to say though, just like you thought that Portimonense was going to come really hard at Benfica and they didn't, I thought Chaves was going to give Porto, I almost said Bruno, a harder time, and they didn't. So it was the same.
Actually, they did. Look at the stats. They had more attacks than Porto. They had more ball possession than Porto.
But what? But Bruno, when I asked you about the opportunities, what did you say? Did you really have any? So you're countering your point with something that's useless. Yeah, they might have had more possession. Yeah, they might have had more attacks. But did they have more opportunities? No, you can have.
Hold on a second.
You can one clear cut shot.
Peter, hold on a second. Lopetegui had controlled. Hold on, Peter. Listen to me. Lopetegui's system had possession of 70-80% of ball possession. It didn't mean that you would create chances to score.
That's
you understand what I'm saying?
No, that's why. No, but Cynthia was.
They had the ball. They were trying to keep the ball away from Porto.
Okay.
Yeah, but playing keep away, no way footy.
Cynthia said that she expected Chaves to give him a harder time, and he said they actually did. No, they didn't. No, they didn't, because you said it yourself. They barely created any opportunities. So having more possession means absolutely nothing. They didn't give you a hard time. You won comfortably.
I disagree, Peter. Peter, I disagree because by you keeping possession, you can frustrate your opponent.
That's fine.
But
that's fine.
You understand? Like when you hold on to the.
But in this game, that argument is invalid because it didn't work that way.
The tactic didn't work.
Games, but in this one didn't.
The tactic didn't work. It was a good tactic, but it didn't work.
Listen,
they were trying to keep possession.
I'm going to shut this down. Communism looks beautiful on paper. Believe me, on paper, I'm a communist. Put it into action, it doesn't fucking work. Move on. We're in next.
No, it's
Next.
it's the play. There's just another play real quickly that's one inside the box where there's like I think it's a shove. And I also think it's by Maxi that didn't get called at all. Do
The
you
one on
know
top of the
what play I'm
box?
talking about, Bruno? Yeah,
The one on top of the box?
Yeah, like in the
Do you think
Which
that's
one?
you think
Inside the
that's a
box, on
foul?
top of the box?
Yeah,
You
It's
think
just a
that's a
love
foul?
shot because
I'm
it's
saying
Maxi. We
it
know.
could have been called. I'm saying it could have been called. That's all I'm
Oh,
saying.
for this,
If
dude,
it was
are we
Jonas, you
playing?
want it called?
Are we playing two-hand touch, or are we playing a two-hand touch football, or are we playing soccer?
Ai, meu Deus.
Pronto. Poor guy. Poor guy.
But if it
Come
was
on, I mean, we're not
Benfica,
playing
it'd
flag
be a
football.
penalty that wasn't called.
Yeah,
We're
no,
not
I
playing
think
flag football.
it could have been called, but that's just me. It is what it is. You're not
Peter,
gonna
Peter,
agree, and that's
you know what
fine.
the problem is? Peter, I'm gonna tell you. You know what the problem is in Portugal?
Okay.
They think that soccer is basketball, where there cannot be contact. But soccer is a contact sport. There's going to be shoulder to shoulders.
Yeah, I
There's
don't think that was. I don't think that was a shoulder to shoulder. Bro.
what
That's what
was
I'm
that?
saying.
That's
First of all, Maxi's holding his ground, and secondly, the shop's player runs into him, and then he falls on the ground. That's his problem.
No, what? No, whatever. You're seeing a completely different play than me, man.
I don't. You're saying the one at the top of the box. That's the one that's at the top of the box.
Like
I think
right
it's
in the
funny that
middle
when
of
you
the
talk about Maxi, you can talk about
right in the middle of the
multiple
box.
times.
Like right in the middle of the box, like 30-something
Oh,
minutes.
that's the other one. That's the one at the top of the 6-yard box.
That's the one that I'm talking about. Where just
that's a different one.
just inside the box. It's just inside. It's almost outside, but it's just inside.
Inside the 6-yard box or the 18-yard box?
Ai, meu Deus.
18-yard box, bro. 18-yard.
If it and then no, that's not a foul at all. That's the one you're referring to.
Yeah, that's
like I said. That's very football. Listen, I know that you watch football Benfica. Football Benfica is
Ai, meu Deus.
Hold on, Patrick was about to weigh in.
Yeah, because there's two. Obviously, there's one that was. It looked a bit like a coming together, but it was just on the 18-yard line, and there's another one which Max is involved where I think he clips the back of the Shabs player's legs, and then the Shabs player sort of on the fall touches the ball, and then Maxi clears it. Well, he doesn't clear it away with his with his standing leg. Sort of, he clips the ball out for a corner, which they were debating whether it could have been a penalty. I think personally, obviously, he does take him down, but for the referee to see that it's very difficult. So
that's not the excuse anymore, though. Now, Patrick, that can't be the excuse anymore.
Yeah, I suppose, but I don't know. It was just such a, you know what I mean? It's not. It wasn't like a really. To me, it didn't look like a full on. Like it didn't look like Maxi just came in from behind and just took man
like
apart.
A full tackle.
But yeah, it was more like Maxi was there and sort of they just both fell. Probably because of Maxi. In the
both went to the ball. Both went to the ball and. Both went to the ball, and then there was like a little scuffle. I mean, there's legs all over the place. I mean, you can call it, you cannot call it. I mean, if they called it a penalty, I would have debated it, but I'm okay with you. Listen, penalties have to be pretty clear, and that's not clear. So I just no. Move on.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine by me. I don't care. I didn't watch that play, so I can't debate it. I just wanted to talk about those two. But at the end of the day, it was an easy win for Porto. So, all right. Let's move on now to Sporting and Feirense, which unfortunately, we still have to talk about the referees. Like, man, oh man, that was a bad weekend.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll give you the Sporting lineup first. And, then we'll go on from there. But anyway, it was Patricio in goal, Piccini, Coates, Matthew, and Bruno César across the back. Bruno César playing left back, okay. Gelson Martins, William Carvalho, Bruno Fernandes, and Brian Ruiz in the midfield with Freddy Montero and Dumbia up front. And I'll obviously let the Sportingista go first. So, Patrick, what did you think about this man?
Yeah, another good performance from a Big Three team. None of that Italian stuff that Jesus was probably more, I don't know, something German, I don't know. But we went out there and attacked from the first minute, and Feirense didn't look that good to me, to be honest. I thought they were going to come up to the other lad and be very defensive, set up in a deep block, but they looked a bit all over the place. But anyway, Sporting took advantage of that with a good start, and then obviously there was the moment where Dumbia scored, and the referee pulls it back for the foul on Bruno Fernandes, which of course I'm sure we'll get to in a bit. And then these moments, like sometimes I sort of like them because what it does is the fans start to get like really aggressive and they get really angry. But in a way, that also pushes the team on a bit and they start playing with a bit more anger. Sometimes you can channel that, and the team really goes out there and performs. Obviously, we didn't get that goal in the first half, and it eventually came in the second. But all in all, I think we really kept up the tempo and got what we deserved, which was a 2-0 win. Probably could have scored more. There was chances from Dumbia had a hatful. Brian Ruiz had a 1 or 2. But yeah, good performance, good response after some difficult weeks. Well, 1 or 2 difficult weeks that Sporting has had recently. And we can look on now and really begin to put some results together again and look to finish the season strongly.
Okay, the only thing that I'll disagree with you, that I thought was surprising that you didn't mention, or I mean not even disagree, that you didn't bring it up, was that Feirense were extremely close to taking the lead on the final play of the first half, which I thought was one of the Sporting's breakdowns that they sometimes have from the crosses.
That's the difference really between. It's a bit of what I touched on. When the decision goes against you and the crowd sort of stand up and start making themselves heard, and the players really took that and went for it. Obviously, we could have scored before that with, I can't remember who it was, whipped in a cross, and Brian Rees just got under the header, but 9 out of 10 times, probably not with Brian Rees because he misses some, but any other player that gets into those sorts of positions tucks that away, and then Sporting a 1-0 ahead. But obviously the danger is you do get carried away, you do leave gaps, and there was one or two chances that Feirense had in the first half actually, which could have obviously gone wrong for us. And there was a save that Rui Patricio had to make from, was it Edson Farias, I think it was, where he pushed it onto the post.
Yeah.
And obviously the game is still close then. So obviously, yeah, it was a game of moments. But all in all, I still think Sporting were well on top.
Yeah, that's the main reason why I shut it off in the second half when I saw Sporting just attack. And I was like, no, they're going to get the goal. When I tuned in, they were already winning 1-0. And I'm like, okay, this is fair. Because this is where the game was going. So, I'm not going to debate that. Bruno. Give him a minute. Bruno.
I'm here.
There we go. All right. So, what did you think about this Sporting game? Without getting to the referee, we'll talk that last.
I mean, listen, Feirense is one of these teams that are struggling right now for the league, and they're going to play ultra defensive. Sporting, listen, let's talk about Sporting itself. Bruno Fernandes is completely out of form right now. He looks very tired. I don't know how many more games he's going to be able to last going 90 minutes. This guy is completely dropped off production, and I don't think that Sporting really has someone else that can occupy his position. They really need him. The back line was fine. I mean, I don't think Feirense really had many chances to score, to be honest with you, in this game. I can't remember. I think maybe Rui Patricio had one big save. That was it.
Yeah,
am I correct?
There was a header that went past the far post at the end of the first half, and
I think
there was another dangerous chance before that as well.
Yeah, 2 good saves and that ball that went just off the post. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think overall that, it was a justified win. I mean, I said it last week that they would win. And, I think the big test right now for Sporting is going to be next weekend against Tondela on the road. That's going to be their most difficult challenge. I think Feirense is one of these teams that's in danger of dropping. They have some decent players. That Diego Silva's not bad. They have Itebo, they have João Silva, but I think defensively they just struggle. And they can't rely on Caio. What's his name? Caio Seco to be the guy that's going to be saving him each and every week. That's my analysis.
Yeah, I thought the goalkeeper was really good though. He's a really good goalkeeper. Cynthia, is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
Not good enough. He didn't keep out the 2 goals there, bud.
I can't do everything.
But no, you're right. Feirense is 2 points away from Stubble, which are at the bottom, but they're 4th from the bottom. But still, just 2 points. So it's close.
All right.
Our league is very, very. The league is very, very level or even from the bottom up. Mm-hmm. So right now, you're going to see a lot of teams that it's going to be quite competitive down the stretch. And look at Estoril. Estoril went from, I think they got 3 straight wins, which is 9 points, and they've completely boosted up the standings. So if a team goes on a run, 3-4 games in a row in which they win, they're going to move out of that position very quickly. They just have to string 3 or 4 results in a row.
Bruno, question real quick. Did Porto already play Moreirense for like the campeonato? Yes. Damn it.
Yes.
Damn it. Okay. Damn it.
That was the one. That was that was the controversial game in which there was a penalty not called in their favor.
Oh, right. That one that finished 0-0. Never mind. They lost points anyway. It doesn't matter. All right. So let's get on to the VAR thing. Okay. So I'll just go first and say that the foul that Bruno Fernandes committed, I think everybody would agree it's a foul. But the issue was that
disagree.
Was not the. Okay. Fine.
Of course you do.
Saying that it doesn't matter. But even saying that that's a foul, that's another play that really doesn't correlate to the play of the goal, does it? That's the issue. I
agree with you. I think it does not. I don't know why this was stopped. But again, we have to look back, and Cableta actually is right on a lot of things when he says we have to look at who's being nominated for the VAR. Manuel Oliveira. By the way, let's look at Manuel Oliveira's track record. He was the one from the Moreirense Porto game in which he doesn't see a penalty. But this guy is just like, he is not a Portista. No, he's not. He's not a Portista. He's actually...
Dude, I'm telling you that I know personally that he's a Portista, okay? So...
You know him personally. Okay, tudo bem. I'm going to tell you right now, he's one of the padres. So...
Of course.
That's fine. I'm just telling you what I know, but that's fine. That's fine. I'm just letting you know.
É portista muito mal mesmo. If he's one of the padres, é muito mal.
Okay, but on to what I was saying.
Clothing, what are you saying?
Just on to what Cynthia.
I'm asking.
I didn't hear what you said.
Wait.
Oh, I was asking if he's a wolf in sheep's clothing, or like.
Oh yeah. I gotcha.
So, in my opinion, I don't think that was a foul. Again, this is me with being the soft fouls, these soft little calls, and there's plenty of them. I mean, if you really analyze Portuguese soccer, 75% of the calls that are called fouls are not really fouls.
Mm-hmm.
We saw one today. We saw one today in which in the second goal of Liverpool, where Porto just completely stopped playing. Yep. Because they were expecting a foul. Yeah. And it could have been a foul, but it's not going to be called in Champions League level. And they all stayed standing around looking at the ball, and then they gave up a goal. But that's why Portuguese teams in Europe have been awful these last couple of years, because they expect it has a lot to do with it. Look at all the goals that we give up. Analyze all the goals that we give up.
Good, but that's fine.
Okay, but analyze the goals that we give up. A lot of them are a lot of goals are just guys just standing around waiting to be like, oh, but where's my foul? You're not going to get it.
Or they throw their hand up for offside and they just stare.
Yeah. All right, but let the Sportingista talk as well. So, Patrick, this play, talk me through it.
Well, there's a foul, obviously, some time before the goal, but after it, Feirense recover possession, and from that moment onwards, according to the rule, the foul's dead and the play resumes. So whatever Sporting can do after that, which eventually turned out to be a goal, whatever happens then, as long as it's within the laws of the game, whether Doumbia is onside or whatever, when he receives the ball, it's a goal, and that's the way it should have been. What I noticed was that when the referee goes to, and that referee is awful, by the way, but anyway, I digress. When the referee goes to the to review the image, he only gets shown the clip of the foul, so he has to decide whether it's a foul or not. He doesn't see the order of which the foul happened, and this is where I say the referee is awful, because obviously that foul just happened. You should, in your mind, have a rough idea of where that foul falls into place. But he obviously didn't, and rather unfairly, the assistant that shows him, because the image that we're shown on TV, I think by the laws of the VAR, it has to correspond with what the referee is shown. And from what the TV could see, we were only given that clip. So obviously, end of the day.
So they showed the wrong clip. Is that what you?
No, what I'm well.
Because you're showing about
because the referee only
there's two fouls, right? Supposedly there's two fouls, right? There's the one where I believe it's a foul that Bruno Fernandes gets the ball back.
Yeah,
but then they lose possession.
The only one that was shown.
Right, but then they lose possession, right? And then they win it back a second time. Or is that the Bruno Fernandes the second foul? Because I know that there's a foul before that. That's just what I'm trying.
No, I'm only talking about the point onwards. I'm not aware of any other foul. I only know
They showed. I think they showed not on TV, because the play that they were showing on TV, I'm like, this is nothing. I don't understand what they're trying to see here.
Yeah,
there's nothing. But then when I was seeing the highlights of the game, they actually showed two fouls, which one of them was a foul. But that's when I was told that Ferencváros get the ball back. And the play that they're talking about is not a foul for me then. The first one is, but that play does not correlate to the second play. So that's what's kind of stupid.
What was being shown was the one where there's the Feirense player, I think it's straight after a throw-in or something like that, and the Feirense player sort of backs into Bruno Fernandes sticks an arm out, and the player flops to the floor. What they were debating on TV is that image that Sport TV after went to pick up, that's exactly what the referee sees. But the problem, and when they're rewinding and fast forwarding the same movement to decide whether it's a foul or not, that's the controls from the actual the man in the VAR office.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if you only show that clip and you say, look, decide whether it's a foul or not, the referee then didn't have the time to process, oh, hold on, this foul happened here. But after that, Feirense recovered possession for a sustainable amount of time, and that killed off the call for the foul completely. And that's obviously where the problem is.
That's the issue, yeah.
So because the foul was done, then Feirense got the ball back. That was it. Sporting got the recovered possession soon after and scored, and the goal should have been legal. Basically, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
What I think needs to be done. Obviously, VAR is something we're still testing. It's in phase of testing. I think there needs to be a movement of encouragement for the viewers, especially. We need to know what's the thought process going into these decisions. I think it would be helpful for us to understand what's being discussed between the referee and
what
the office,
I would like to. I think they should, and to end this. But I think that they should release the bit of the segments where they're discussing the play, so we kind of start to understand their thought process, right? So I would like to hear the bit of a communication between the VAR and the referee to figure out what they're actually trying to see, what they're looking at, so we kind of get an understanding when they get these calls where we think are wrong, but we still understand why they were made at the time. That would help, so. All right. So then the VAR was used incorrectly. I don't think that he should have reviewed the play because it was clearly, his face that hit the ball, not his arm, nowhere near as close as that. And I don't think anybody debates that. So VAR 50-50 on this one.
Yeah, well,
Incredibly.
this is
Yeah.
this is one of those things when people say that we don't need VAR, that it takes too long and all that sort of stuff. Show him this clip. This is exactly why we need VAR, because the referee is right there. The shot hits the man on the head, the Feyenoord's defender, and he points straight to the spot. I don't know why. Maybe the noise around the stadium was too loud for him, and he thought, "Nah, I'm going to get slaughtered if I don't give it." And he gives it.
I think so too. I think the crowd played a part.
Because I can't see any other reason why he'd give it.
No, because it's straight to the head, right? I mean, although his arm is up in the air, but he goes straight to his head.
He's got a great view.
Yeah.
Unless referees nowadays are gonna anything that's a penalty, they're gonna start giving it and then thinking, "Don't worry, VAR will come save me if it's wrong." Unless that's the mentality, I don't know.
Yeah, that was just weird. All right, but all right. So does anybody else want to add anything onto this, or can we move on to the final game of today's podcast?
We can move on, unless Bruno has anything.
I don't think he does, or else he would have unmuted his mic.
Good call.
All right, so let's get on to the final game of today's episode. And I don't think Bruno wants to talk about this one.
That's probably why he's left.
No, I am not. I'm not one of these guys that put in sick days
Okay.
when my team loses 5-0.
I was playing, bro. I was playing with you. Chill. Anyway.
Listen, I mean, the way to describe this game is simple. It's you're talking about the fourth place team in England versus the first place team in Portugal, and the difference of quality is 100% clear. You cannot.
Which a lot of people
it is undebatable.
Think that. A lot of people didn't think that, but
Did I think that Portugal would lose 5-0?
No, but
no,
I
didn't think that.
3-1 was realistic. Like losing 3-1, like I said on Twitter today, or 2-0. I don't think anybody would have thought that was crazy. But 5-0 is a little bit too much. But I mean, it was like they created their opportunities that they scored. So it's not like Porto defended the whole game. That was ridiculous.
I disagree. I think.
No, there was no.
First of all,
they had one opportunity, but.
Let's talk about.
The whole game.
You look at this the lineup. I have to break things down in sections. Mm-hmm. José Sá had probably the worst game he ever had in a Porto uniform. Number one.
Seriously, right?
He was in cause. He was the cause of at least 2 goals. Okay, the first goal, it was not only was it a frango, but if you look at when he threw the ball at first, when the play was being developed, he was the one that made the big mistake. It was an incomplete pass that he was trying to make 40 yards down the field. It just didn't happen. And then there was like maybe one other one that was his fault. Other than that, forget it. Now you're missing Philippe. And I've always said it. When you don't have Philippe, you have to have Philippe with somebody else. It could be Reyes, it could be Marcano, but you cannot have Marcano and Reyes and no Philippe. Obviously, he was suspended. You have to play with whatever you have to play with. Listen, Marcano and Reyes, they were too slow. You don't have Danilo. Danilo was completely missed today. Because if anyone was paying attention to this game, you can clearly see how Herrera has no business playing against an English Premier League team. He has no pace whatsoever that can keep up with those guys.
It's the Mario curve.
Well, listen, you watch Liverpool play. They're putting 6 and 7 and even 8 guys going forward to attack the opponent's goal. That's a lot. I mean, there was times when they were countering. Porto's midfield was still jogging back, and there was already 4 or 5 guys ahead of them. And then you have 2 more guys joining the attack. I mean, they were completely outnumbered most of the time. And then, of course, and you don't have a Boubacar. I mean, Suarez did the best he could. I thought Porto's best player today was Juarez. Everyone else had a complete off day. the difference between the quality of the two teams was very clear.
Ridiculous. Yeah. All right. So,
But I will say this.
Yeah.
We played against a team that is very, has not as an excuse, but they must have a much bigger budget. But não perdemos 5-0 com o Basileia. Perdemos
Again,
5-0 com o
Had
Liverpool.
to be. Had to
but
be,
it's
right?
it's still a crushing defeat and an humiliating one, no matter how you want to put it. Because I was one of those that had the idea that Liverpool was going to win both legs easily, but a lot of Porto fans got reality checked in this game because a lot of them thought that they could win this game. It wasn't competitive.
I thought they could win.
On the scoreline, it wasn't competitive on the field. Like Porto had about 2 chances the whole game. Liverpool could have, they could, if they wanted to, they could have scored as many goals as they wanted because their offense was just easy. Like Porto had no defense whatsoever, no midfield whatsoever. Sergio Oliveira was useless.
Well, the second half
was useless.
Hold on.
The second half,
I disagree.
you're going into the game winning 2-0. You're winning 2-0. Obviously, the second half is going to be much better than the first. So that's, to me, like that argument of Porto played better in the second half. I mean, who wouldn't? You're losing 2-0. The team obviously winning is going to take the foot off the gas. I mean, especially because it's so new, the game was over 60 minutes in when he takes off Brahimi. He's obviously saying, we lost this. Might as well save out the players. So...
Well, yeah, but hold on a second. We also played what Liverpool let us play because in the first half they didn't let us play. They high pressed. They controlled most of the possession, and they high pressed the hell out of us. And Porto had no answer.
But
they just didn't have the team speed.
You got dominated at home. You got completely dominated. You got outcoached. Like, go on, Patrick.
I only think Liverpool high pressed because Porto more or less invited that on them. Because if you look at Liverpool's midfield, it was Henderson, Milner, and Wijnaldum, which they're all aggressive players in the press. Obviously, that's the way Liverpool operate. But it's not the most expansive sort of midfield. I think if Liverpool were really going there to go for it, I think they would have slotted in Oxlade-Chamberlain into the middle of the park or something like that. I think that Liverpool went there with respect for Porto, but I think Porto, I don't know. I'm not sure if they got their priorities straight. And they more or less invited that pressure onto themselves, and Liverpool went for it.
I disagree with Peter about saying that Sergio Oliveira had a terrible game. I think he had a terrible game after it was like 3-0. Before that, Sergio Oliveira was the only one that was really moving the ball with Otavio in the middle. Herrera
but he's not a 6, so he got exposed. Like Porto does not have a backup defensive midfielder, and of course,
Herrera's been playing
Portugal. That works for Portugal, but when you're going on against a good team like Liverpool, you're going to get exposed. Porto does not have a defensive midfielder, so obviously the whole midfield collapses. I mean, obviously Sergio Oliveira might have had some good actions, but still, it wasn't nowhere near enough to say he had a good game. So I mean, it's just, to me, that's ridiculous planning. First of all, by Porto not having a second defensive midfielder. Obviously, nobody's going to be as good because Danilo is top 3 in the league. I think we can all agree that William, Feza, and Danilo are top 3. You can place them wherever you want. But Porto do not have a second number 6. So obviously, when you're playing in Europe against Liverpool, against Mohamed Salah, against Sadio Mane, against Roberto Firmino, I mean, you need somebody to help your defenders out. And as much as people don't like, or some like, somebody's like Reyes, he has no part on this. Neither has Marcano, because I mean they're exposed. They're left, mostly like you said, on 4-on-5s or 3-on-2s because they were always outnumbered. Because Porto didn't have that defensive midfielder. Porto did not have that number 6 that could help them sort out the game. Because obviously, if Porto had Danilo, this game would have been different. But it also shows the lack of planning that Porto had for Europe, not having somebody behind Danilo, and that showed there. Because in Portugal, yeah, it works, but not in Europe.
I mean, let me ask you something. Which ones of the big 3 can you honestly say, oh, they have one just as equal as the guy that starts?
Never.
Nobody.
It's never.
Benfica doesn't have better than.
But But for example, like the thing that I'm saying is obviously comparing Feza to Samaris is not good, but Samaris can do a good job filling in for Feza as long as it's not too many games. Porto and
You're
Sporting,
talking about
it's like Bataglia is not a number 6 either. You know what I'm trying to tell you? It's just that Benfica sort of had that guy because Samaris was the starter and then he got benched. So obviously FaZe is better, but Samaris knows how to play the position and obviously he has the ability to play it. I don't think Porto or Sporting have anybody else that can play the number 6 role in Europe. In Portugal, obviously, you can always do those little, nuances that help you, but in Europe, that doesn't work.
Well, I mean, but then again, you're also talking about a team that has what $200 million in a budget versus someone that's under 100.
Listen, you can't tell me that Porto cannot find a decent backup defensive midfielder. They have 0 defensive midfielders. 0. That's the thing. 0.
No, I don't. I disagree. We have
Who do you have?
a defensive midfielder.
Who?
He's a different type of the center defensive midfielder though. There's one that builds and there's one that destroys. Danilo destroys, but the one that builds is Sergio Oliveira.
Sergio Oliveira is a May. He's a 6.5
He's an
or
8.
7. He's not an 8. He's not an 8 nor a 6. He's a
I think he's
like
an 8.
you said, he's a medical construction. He's a build-up play guy. He's not an 8 nor a 6 to me personally.
I think he's too passive to ever be considered defensive.
No, he's a different type of 6. He's a 6 where, in terms of possession, he builds out of the back. He's not a guy that's going to win you balls. He's not a ball winner like Danilo. Danilo is a ball winner. Herrera today, you could tell that he was 2 steps behind everyone from Liverpool because he just doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the speed. I'm sorry, he just doesn't have it. Porto Liverpool was much better today. End of story. There's not much more to say. And I can, you can talk about, for example, Basel got destroyed at home 4-0 by Manchester City, and that was them not even going full throttle. You got what I'm saying?
I believe Liverpool didn't go through full throttle against Porto either.
In the second half, no. I think what they did is they sat back and they wanted to counter Porto because they saw that they were just getting more numbers every time when they would break.
Yeah,
Porto just didn't have the team speed. They didn't have the team speed to keep up with those guys, and that's another thing in Portugal. They're used to playing twice a week. Porto's been playing twice a week, and they're all tired. And look at these guys in Liverpool.
They have no bench.
Bench. We don't have no bench. Of course, we have a bench.
You don't know. Sorry, playing Octavio. What? No. Like Octavio's been playing well in Portugal, but again, it's the same thing. Like there's some guys here where you can't win a game against Liverpool without Felipe, without Danilo, and without Abubakar. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can't expect Marega to bail you out.
Liverpool has 2 guys for every position, but that's again because they have a $200 million budget versus Porto that has less than 100 million. But that's the way it is in Europe now is, if Porto, Sporting, Benfica, and even Braga want to do something in Europe, they have to just go to Europa League, and that is it.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to win anything. I mean, those days that you're going to get, you might see one team from a different country out of the top 5 that will win the league, win the Champions League. That's once every 25 years. That's it. You're not, and that's going to be a special run. Other than that, that's not happening.
All right. So before we close out the podcast and, we just give the prediction because Cynthia has to go, I just wanted to touch about something that, it was a question by Tafagata, right? Tafagata. Did I say that right?
Yep. Yeah, he said it right, yeah.
So he asked the question, but I'm going to turn it more into asking your opinion now because the game's over.
Yeah,
but he was talking about how if Sergio Conceição should have pressured Liverpool a lot more, knowing that they're leaky at the back. But I honestly don't think they're leaky at the back. But I want your opinion on that.
My opinion? No, because they have too much team speed. So if they get past your first line of pressure, they're going to break with 6-7 guys anyway, and they're going to just blow right by you, which they did most of the time. And they weren't even we weren't even high pressing. So imagine us high pressing. When we started pressure in the second half, that's when you started seeing. You would see all orange shirts. I mean, 6, 7, 8 at a time, and there was only 4 Porto jerseys in the back, 4 or 5, because everybody else was caught upfield, and they just couldn't. They don't have the speed to get back. So no, the high pressure would not work.
All right. So let's just get into the predictions then. Let me start off with
Mario asked a
tomorrow's
question.
game. Oh, what did Mario ask? Sorry.
Mario then said, is the second leg pointless? And do Porto risk putting out an effort, or do they just focus on the Liga? Or do they risk that and then get like a 10-0 aggregate scoreline,
Yes,
just
no.
like we got a
So-
shame one?
What
Yes,
we do,
it's over.
I talked about this with my friends that I was watching the game with. Remember, we played them on a Tuesday now, in 15 days. That Friday after that Tuesday, we play Sporting for the league.
Yeah,
Please-
Porto's going to
please
rest
keep that in mind.
every player.
So what we should do is everyone that's a backup plays. Casillas, Maxi, Reyes, Osorio. I would put Duke Delor at left back. I would put Andre. I put Otavio. I would put
Against Liverpool.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you would either that or you don't show up.
Yeah, exactly. No, I
Can you
agree
phone
with
it
him.
in?
Like it's over. It's over. Liverpool's got to do the exact same. So you don't have to worry about
they
that.
won't.
So both teams.
Oh, you mean like they'll
Listen,
rest
bro.
players.
They're gonna play. They're gonna
You
play.
know, you
this-
mean resting players. You mean rest
Yeah,
players,
they're gonna
right?
be resting players. Yeah, they're gonna be resting players. Or even if they play some starters, they're not gonna play with the same pace, obviously. So, no, it might be an even game. Hell, Porto might even win that game, but it's not. It's gonna be an useless 90 minutes. Like worthless.
No, I think right now the league is the most important thing. So I can't see Sergio Conceição wanting to try to win that game. I mean, I just read a comment that Klopp said that the tie is not over yet.
It's fucking over. It's more than over.
I mean, he's just trying to be respectful. But
Yeah, exactly.
It's over. All right. So, sorry about missing Mario's question there. My
No
bad.
problem. No, it was on the
w-
second tweet. Sorry.
All right. So we done with the questions. I don't think.
Yeah,
there were
that's
any
it.
more, right?
That was all of them,
All right. So
I think.
let's start with the predictions first. Let's start tomorrow's game of Astana versus Sporting. And Patrick, for obviously you're the Sportingista. You go first. Scoreline.
I don't know. I'm trying to think whether it will be a tricky game because of all conditions and all that. But Astana are in pre-season right now, so I do fancy Sporting's chances. I will go for 3-1. 3-1 Sporting.
All right. Brun.
I think Sporting has the obligation to win this game, 1-0 Sporting, but there is going to be no conditions because the game is indoors.
And
Oh,
it's
is it?
going to be on turf.
Yeah,
Like,
it's going to be indoors.
Yeah,
the game is-
it would be on thing, but I didn't know it was indoors.
It was
Yeah,
it's indoors. They close it
indoors.
out.
They're
They
gonna-
close it out.
Yeah, they have
I
a
think they have a
roof over, so
retractable
it's
roof.
basically a dome. Yeah, they have a
Yeah.
retractable. It's going to be indoors. So, but they were saying it's like 15 degrees inside with the roof closed. But I don't think that's still going to be.
That's Fahrenheit, right? And you're talking Fahrenheit or are you talking Celsius? Because I need to know. Because if you're telling 15 Fahrenheit, that's very low Celsius. So I just
No, it's got to be Celsius, no?
yeah,
That should be.
yeah. Because if it's 15
That's
Fahrenheit,
summer
then
here.
it's cold
Just
as hell.
Yeah, that's summer in Canada.
No.
That's summer for us. We're gonna go tanning in shorts. Kidding.
Unbelievable. Anyway, it's gonna be really cold.
Like negative
Benfica play
15
there.
here.
I'm gonna go with the same scoreline that Benfica got in Astana, and I'm gonna go with 2-2. So there's that.
I want Sporting to win.
Did
I'm
I
gonna say 2-1.
Cynthia, I didn't ask you. Okay. Oh, that's weird. But
No,
did I ask
listen.
you?
The only time I want anybody other than Benfica from Portuguese league winning is when we're representing Portugal. So don't F that up.
1-0. That's what I said. What's the
Yeah,
1-0?
exactly.
Oh, yeah, you said 1-0. That's right. All right. Well, let's stay with Sporting and Tondela Sporting.
Well, what
Patrick,
about Braga? No respect for Braga?
Well, okay,
Against
Marseille, Braga. Is it at home? It's at Braga, right? So it's
No,
2-1 Braga to me.
I
No,
think
it's in Marseille.
it's Marseille.
It's in Marseille? Okay, 2-1 Braga
Yeah.
anyway. I'm keeping my
All
prediction.
All right, 2-1.
I say 2-0 Braga.
So, all right.
2-1 Marseille.
Pat. Okay.
Hey,
Why did you have to
hater.
be the negative
You just gotta
Nancy,
be the
Patrick?
hater.
Negative.
Away from home,
negative
difficult game. They'll turn it around in Portugal.
No. All right. Fair enough. Make it more exciting.
Yep.
All right. Everybody gave their predictions, right? So I can move on to Tondela now without Bruno being offended. Okay, good.
Opa, you
Hold on.
We play
We
Saturday.
got Sporting. We were talking Sporting.
Yeah.
Let's continue on Sporting. So Sporting Tondela. Patrick, well, predictions for that game too.
I think it's going to be one of those games where either we come through the door, smash it open, and score the goals, or it's going to be one of those ones where it's like
You trip at the door, that's what I'm hoping.
91st minute, 92nd minute. I don't know. I'll go 2-0. Basic score. 2-0 Sporting.
Okay. So I say 1-1. Fingers crossed. Because of the trip more than anything else, it's going to be a long one.
Yeah.
So, Bruno.
I'm going to say...
Come on, man. You said they were going to draw points. You said they were going to draw...
No, that's what I'm saying. I say it's going to be 1-1. What'd you say, Peter?
I said 1-1. Yeah, I said 1-1.
Then I'm gonna have to change that. 2-1 Tondela.
Come on, Bruno. That was mine. Anyways, it's still mine. 2-1 Tondela.
All right, then. So, Patrick, you got the odds stacked against you, which means that next Wednesday you can make fun of us for getting it completely wrong.
Oh,
that's the positive. All right. Anyway, so
I hope
Porto Rio Ave. Bruno.
Porto Rio Ave. This is difficult because of the question right now that every Portista is asking is this result for today going to affect Porto? No, affect Porto mentally and emotionally. I think this is a game in which Porto has to come out firing and get 2 quick goals to kind of put the Liverpool game behind them. I'm going to say 3-1.
Okay, I'm gonna go, and I'm sick of going against Porto, so I'm gonna go 2-1 Porto. Cynthia.
Where is this game?
It's at home.
Porto. It's at Porto.
It's in Porto.
Yeah.
When was the last time they had a 5-0 loss?
Never.
At Estádio do Dragão?
Never.
Yeah.
Never happened. It never happened.
Just in general, and away. When was the last time you had a bad game away?
How the hell is
probably Arsenal?
You have to be some kind of.
I'm trying to be like a psychologist about this. Yeah.
No, probably Arsenal.
But Bruno has all these historic ideas in his.
Come on, Cynthia. Like.
I'm gonna be a hater. They're gonna lose 1-0 at home.
Okay.
And it'll be a penalty. That was a bad call.
I'm going for 3-0 Porto because Rio Ave are on a bit of a slump right now.
They're in shambles.
Yeah, but when they come up against the big three,
we'll
time
see.
they play the big three,
they got smacked. They got smacked 5-1 by Benfica. So anyway, let's move on to the final prediction, which ends up being Benfica. So Benfica plays Boavista. That game is also at home. Cynthia, predictions.
I'm going to say 2-0 for Benfica.
3-0 Benfica. Bruno?
You said 2-0?
Bruno?
Cynthia?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, she said 2-1. 2-0, sorry.
2-0, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say 4-0 Benfica. The Boavista's...
Holy
listen,
shit!
Boavista is not. They're on a good run, so they're due a bad game, so they'll get destroyed.
This
All
week, this
right, well,
week's the
that's our
bad
bad
game.
game.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Patrick.
No, Boavista's
I'll
do
go
a bad
for-
game.
No, I
Boavista's
know.
doing a bad.
Thank
We
you,
know.
Boavista, for the
Yeah.
points. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
I'll go for Boavista take the lead early, but Benfica turn it around and win 3-1.
Oh,
Okay.
we
At
always
least
give up
make
a
it
fucking
comfortable
goal.
for me. Thank you.
I'm telling you, it's Varela's fault for that
It's
goal
3-0.
too.
It's
But
3-0.
anyways.
It's 3-0 Benfica, like I said. That's just
No
gonna be.
Jonas?
Write it down, people. I'll give you the money for the elimination.
No
What?
Jonas. No Jonas in this game.
Not sure. Nobody knows.
I think he got Player of the
Nobody
Month.
knows.
He was voted
Probably.
Player of the Month. It just came out, and Rui Vitoria got Coach of the Month for the. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah,
I think Neil tweeted.
You're digressing. You're digressing. Yeah,
It's kinda hilarious.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see next week. We'll see next week who's going to be right. So we're going to be talking about the 3 games plus Sporting's first leg against Astana. We'll see how things go. As a person that should be neutral, I'm going to wish him good luck, even though inside I completely don't care. But it is what it is. So good luck for Sporting, I guess. And
Don't be like that. No.
Thank you, everybody.
Do well.
that listened. Thank you, everybody that listened. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
And happy Valentine's Day.
Ciao.
Because that matters. Bye.
Bye.